I had enough line to reach, I'm sure I did, until I tied my hitch. Didn't calculate for that amount of rope, and I don't have a longer piece. But I do have another piece of rope. Let's see if we can find a way to join these two shorter lines. All we're trying to do is reach one of these posts here. Welcome to BlindGuy Urban Bushcraft. I'm Jay. You never know when you're going to need to join two shorter pieces of rope to make something longer, and often we miscalculate the cordage we need just because of the knots we need to tie. But every knot takes a little extra, and it's easier to find a bunch of shorter lengths than it is to find a longer length of rope. Come on along with me over to the table, and we're going to take a look at the Fisherman's knot, also known as the double Fisherman's knot. You know, I'm kind of torn between how to describe this as taking two half hitches or two overhand knots and combining them with two different pieces of rope. You be the judge, but this is moving back to some of the simplest knots you can make. Start with a loop, and we're building out a half hitch. Really, I call it a half hitch instead of overhand knot because a half hitch would go around something. And this one's we're gonna take our rope and pass that through. So technically to me, more of a half hitch than an overhand knot, but I've heard it described both ways. We're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna tie a half hitch around this rope. So bring that through, twist that under. And now let's dress that up a bit. That just means tighten it up or it's gonna come loose on you. You really have to do that with your knots or they come apart on you. Now, basically, an overhand knot here and an overhand knot here. And what's gonna happen when we pull these together, they're gonna tighten down on each other. And that is actually one of the good and bad parts of that knot, is that even though they're just half hitches, which make me really nervous, I don't like just using half hitches or overhand knots on their own. They're good finishing pieces. But these two are gonna choke down on each other. And as we pull, they're gonna tighten up and tighten up and tighten up. And that's gonna be hard to get undone. So we're gonna talk about a trick on how to do that. Now, bigger rope, it's gonna be a lot easier. But that's it, we've just joined two lines. Whether one's smaller or not, they're going to stick together and they're fairly secure. This would be good to make any shorter rope longer for a number of different applications. Just so you can see that slower. And there you have it. When we look at the amount of rope that's being used, it really is about as little as you can use. It's going to be fairly secure, and that's going to join your ropes, and then you have enough. The problem this has, or one of the major cons here, it's really going to bind down under a load, and that's going to be hard to get undone if you needed to. One way you can deal with that on the bigger rope is just give them a twist. You can take a pair of pliers and do the same thing. Other cons, not only is this bind, but it's going to be a knot in the middle of your line. And if you have a bunch of ropes strung together, you're going to have a lot of knots. So nothing's going to run smooth down there. That could be good or bad, but you definitely have a spot in the middle of that line. For those that don't like the idea of a single half hitch or overhand knot, you could throw another half hitch in there. I don't know that you need to, but whatever makes you feel better. I don't like the idea of just one half hitch, and really buckle that down. thanks for checking out my video. This is the Scouts Knots OAS series, and this is one of those knots we cover during all of the outdoor adventure skills pathways in Scouts Canada. This one comes in pretty early on at the lower levels, but it is pretty handy in joining two pieces of rope. Please hit like, subscribe, and hey, get out there and make your own videos.